Welcome to the College Essay Advisors podcast. Before we introduce ourselves, here's a little preview of what's to come.
There can be an element of storytelling on a micro level in these letters because the
hmm
template is so similar for so many people. It's thank you for consideration. I would gladly accept. Let me update you on
hmm
accomplishments. Their eyes start to glaze over if they read letter after letter. And while some of that is fine because there's only so many ways you can say I will accept, the ability to inject a little bit of voice into that paragraph on the updates and accomplishments or include a moment of storytelling, I think can be what sets you apart from letter after letter.
Welcome to the College Essay Advisors podcast, an ongoing exploration of how to write admissions essays that get you noticed and accepted. Hi, my name is Stacey Brooke, and I am the founder and chief advisor at College Essay Advisors.
Hi, my name is Becca Myers, and I am Director of Advising at College Essay Advisors.
And today we're going to talk to you about what to do if you are put on the wait list.
So maybe, Stacey, before we launch into that, you could tell us the difference between deferral and waitlist, because some of our listeners might have that question.
Absolutely. So a student might get deferred if they apply to a school early action, early decision, restrictive early action. If a school does deferrals as well as rejections during that round of assessment, then a student could potentially get deferred, which means they're pushed into the regular decision pool and they have another shot with admissions. And a student could be waitlisted during that regular decision assessment process, at which point other students are accepted. Admissions is waiting to see whether or not those students will actually take the spots they are offered. And if there are leftover spots, that's when students could potentially be pulled off the wait list onto the acceptance list. So that's the core difference, really.
Okay, helpful. And so basically, deferral and waitlist, different terminology, different parameters, different times, but the response to either deferral or waitlist is very similar in terms of what you can provide in writing to hopefully bump you that small differential, just to let them know that you are still interested. So if you
Yep.
didn't write deferral letter, then and you get waitlisted, you may be unfamiliar with the process. We're going to kind of walk you through what a waitlist letter looks like, the most important components, beginning with updates on your accomplishments, your relevant life experiences since the initial application. And that can include anything from an academic award. Let's say you got inducted into National Honor Society. It can include athletic awards. It can include any extracurricular achievements. Let's say that you placed first in a mock trial competition. And I also believe that it can include something that reveals your personality a little bit. I think if the letter doesn't have a restrictive word count, there is an opportunity without going overboard to maybe talk a little bit about something that you have taken up recently or something that you're proud of in terms of personal growth. Examples I've had have been a student who was learning to crochet with her grandmother at a nursing home that she visited once a week, which I think is really lovely. So you want to create a well-rounded picture that identifies accomplishments updates without going too far on the other extreme of that and inundating your reader. So Stacey, maybe you can talk about like in terms of what you might not want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Some schools will provide a template or some guidelines as to what they are or are not looking for with a waitlist letter. Some schools don't want to hear from you again at all, and they will just say, please don't send us any more materials. Other schools will say, here's a 250 word space for you to fill. So I think the most important thing, obviously, is to follow instructions. If you're not sure whether or not the school you're waitlisted at wants more information from you, just call admissions and they're going to be happy to clarify. Um, so I think that's first and foremost for me, just making sure you're following the instructions. That's pretty key. Um, as Becca said, any highlights, any updates that you can use to continue to flesh out your application. Also, just a straightforward affirmation that yes, you are my first choice school still. If you, it's especially important, I think, for schools when they put you on the wait list and the spots they're offering you are from students who are declining their offer. They want to know that if they offer the spot to you, that you will take it. They're concerned about something called yield, which is how many of the students they offer positions actually end up accepting them. So I think if you give them clarity and certainty that you will take their offer if they extend it to you, I think that's also pretty critical.
Yeah. So some schools will specify a word count and others won't. And if a school doesn't specify a word count, it doesn't mean that you have to write a 3,000 word treatise on how you've been volunteering at your local pet shelter and you've named every cat. It's not an exhaustive updating on every item of your resume. You don't want to then write another why that school essay and have it be page after page. So it's important to imagine that your admissions officer is reading lots of these letters. You want to differentiate yourself and you want to highlight your recent accomplishments, but you don't want to. It's almost like an acceptance award, I would imagine, at like the Oscars when they start to play the music. You want to be able to say what you want to say. And if it's really important, I guess it's okay to go over a little bit, but keep in mind that like other letters are happening and that you want to also be able to express yourself concisely. Like I think they value that as well. This isn't your
Yeah.
opportunity to like just say everything possible about yourself. There's a certain amount of I guess it's like respectful to hold back a little bit while also singing your praises. So I I like the letters personally. I don't like them to exceed a page. Um
I would say absolutely not.
yeah.
Definitely not over a page. Admissions is exhausted by this point. They don't, they really don't want to hear that. Also, they know so much about you already. They just read an entire application of yours. So you don't need to tell them anything they already know, really and truly. Maybe, um, for a more robust letter or even for a concise one, a very quick recounting of the one or two things about the school that make them the perfect fit for you. But I would really try to keep it concise, limited. I think the most important part of this is the affirmation that you're going to accept if they extend the offer to you. Yes, there are updates that you're going to want to include, but also you could have just submitted this application 2 months before this waitlist offer is being extended to you. So I think um, there is an understanding that not that much might have happened between the time you sent in your original application and when you're providing the updates. That might be different if you've, been in the pile since early application or early decision and have been deferred and have been waitlisted. You might have more to say, but I really and truly think a page maximum. And if you can get it down to less than that, I would say admissions is going to appreciate it at this point. They want to take a nap. They're ready. They're ready to be
Absolutely.
done. They're
And
ready
and
to be done.
I will add that we offer the service of helping students with waitlist letters. And one of the things I'm proudest of is our ability to work with a student and in that small space really convey your personality and voice. Because as Stacey said, we know the most important thing is the affirmation that you will attend, but I also think that last minute chance to really get across your personality and voice, it's something we can do. There can be an element of storytelling on a micro level in these letters because the
Hmm.
template is so similar for so many people. It's thank you for consideration. I would gladly accept. Let me update you on
Hmm.
accomplishments. Their eyes start to glaze over if they read letter after letter. And while some of that is fine because there's only so many ways you can say I will accept, the ability to inject a little bit of voice into that paragraph on the updates and accomplishments or include a moment of storytelling, I think can be what sets you apart from letter after letter. So that's something that we're really good at. And the other thing I'll add is that we can review your initial application. I've worked with students who I've read their application. We get to the why that school essay, and I'm not saying it's the reason they got deferred or waitlisted, but I can notice, oh, you actually didn't talk about your major or program at all. So maybe now in the
Mhm.
deferral or the waitlist letter, rather, you could actually add something about the program you're interested in because it was wholly absent in the initial application. So that's the other piece of this to
And that
consider.
might just be a function of admissions not asking that question.
Yes,
It
that's
might
right.
not
That's right.
it might not even be because you didn't include it in your why this school essay. There might not have been a why this school essay, in which case getting that information, squeezing that information in there would be tremendously helpful, I think.
I think so. And probably more important than I have dreamed ever since I was little of, playing frisbee on the quad. Like that's lovely, but if you have a specific reason for economics in that program and you can
Hmm.
summarize that in a sentence, I think that will serve you better than talking
Hmm.
about just
And I've
chilling on the
dreamed
quad.
ever since I was little of eating frozen yogurt every single night in your cafeteria, which I did.
I loved, well, I went to Chapel Hill and I still sometimes do dream about just walking in. I love a buffet and I love that there were just like, we had the yogurt machine. You could get cereal and put yogurt on it or frozen yogurt
So
on
much
it. Like
frozen yogurt. I
all
hate so
the
much frozen yogurt.
combinations, so much frozen yogurt. That was kind of like a 90s thing, probably.
It really
Oh, yeah.
was. But yeah, I think those are the core elements that we're looking at here. It really is fairly straightforward. Yes, you can inject voice in. Yes, you can include some things um, in that statement that might have been left out of your application, but I think the elements are fairly clear. Um, in all likelihood, a school is going to tell you what they want to hear if they want to hear anything from you at all. So I think following instructions is key. Getting on top of it ASAP. The second you get a waitlist letter or a waitlist notification, I would say shoot that response out as soon as humanly possible. Um, but aside from that, I think this pretty much covers it.
I think that's it.
Yeah, you can do it. And our fingers and toes are crossed for you. And if you need help, you know where to find us.
That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to follow us for more. Happy writing!